Welcome to the Happy Mama Movement podcast. I'm Amy Taylor-Kabbaz, mama, journalist, coach, and founder of Mama Rising. This podcast is a space of community and collaboration. We gather stories of matrescence, motherhood, womanhood, and change told by our Mama Rising coaches and mothers around the globe, in the knowing that through our stories, we can begin to heal and change the way the world sees, values, and supports mothers everywhere. So, welcome to the Happy Mama Movement. And welcome to an episode of Take the Mic. Take the Mic is an initiative of Mama Rising to hand this platform and this microphone over to one of our amazing Mama Rising coaches and facilitators around the world to give her a chance to share her story of matrescence and motherhood, the stories of the mothers in her community, so we can all hear each other's stories, heal together, and change the way the whole world acknowledges matrescence and motherhood. So here is one of our coaches.
Hi, I'm Melissa from Queensland, Australia. I have two daughters, a 7-year-old and a 3-year-old. I'm a matrescence educator, life coach, and engineer. I am a recovering perfectionist and high achiever. I have been living and breathing in a very masculine space, and I'm currently working to reconnect with my feminine. So leading up to the birth of my first daughter, I had lots of romantic views on what motherhood would look like and who I would be as a mother. There'd be lots of social connections. I would flourish and finally be an adult. I had a misguided belief that once I was a mother, I would magically be able to keep a tidy house. To be honest, I had also thought that this would magically happen when I moved into my own house. It's just not a natural state of being for me. But I thought that motherhood would definitely be the time that I would be able to do this. Little did I know. So I had my first taste of loneliness when I was in a hospital over Australia Day with my newborn daughter. My family had all visited, and then they left me with the cute, squishy baby all by myself while they went home to celebrate the day. I was then insulated a bit from loneliness during the first month home, as everyone wanted to come and visit and have newborn baby cuddles. But even then, I felt invisible, as most people were there for the baby, not for me. Then the visits dried up, and I was left alone all day with my baby. I felt let down by society. I felt that I was fading away and becoming more invisible now that my role of growing a baby was complete. Doctor's appointments were all about the baby, even when it was my checkup. People would stop in the street to coo at my baby, but they didn't see me. It felt surreal. And it seems that everyone is okay with this. We're told that we must step back so that our babies and our children can shine. That our babies and our children are the most important thing. You had a traumatic birth. That's okay because you have a healthy baby. Your mental health isn't that great. Not a worry. Your baby is growing fine. It felt like I didn't exist anymore. I was just the mother. Also, no one had warned me about the 2 a.m. resentment and the dark thoughts that can pop up in this time when you're feeling vulnerable and worn out, up feeding the baby again and seeing your sleeping husband, and feeling resentment towards him. The feeling that my life had completely changed while his had stayed the same. And how dare he be asleep while I'm awake again, and curse him with his useless nipples. Though through all this, I somehow felt very in control. My daughter was super chilled, so able to continue to do the things we'd done before and just take her along with us. We took her to Rotary meetings, did some work training while on maternity leave that she came to. She's the youngest person to complete manager's training. And our friends at the time, who were all childless, looked at how seemingly easy it was to have a baby. She actually got known as the trap baby because she was so chilled that everyone thought they could do it. And outwardly, things looked really great. Like, look at us. We were killing this parenting gig. We did make it look easy. And at this stage, I didn't really talk about the challenges that were occurring behind the closed doors. I wanted people to think that I was nailing motherhood, that I was a natural at it and I was smashing it. So that was that high achiever in me, really wanting to excel at motherhood. And I wasn't willing to admit, even to myself, that maybe I wasn't. And then my daughter got to the age where people started asking about when we were going to have baby number 2. And I would deflect with humor. Not yet, but we're certainly doing a lot of practicing. But on the inside, it was killing me that I wasn't pregnant yet. My vision of the perfect age gap between my kids was disappearing. And it felt like my body was letting me down with its infertility. So I took up an intensive psychology degree, a 3-year course condensed into 2 years. So part of me did it because I actually really wanted to study psychology. But part of it was also about proving that I was good enough. Like, I can't get pregnant, but watch me excel at this course. So, of course, that's when I fell pregnant, partway through an intensive degree, which I finished a few months after the birth of my second daughter, because nothing was going to stop me from finishing that course. I had too much to prove to myself and to others. And even though I had an exam not long after my daughter, I still did it. And it made me feel like a superwoman. Like, look at all that I can do. I can care for my oldest. I can work part-time. I can give birth and still get great grades. I'm unstoppable. But also when I fell pregnant, it was during the COVID pandemic, and she was labeled as a COVID baby. And that filled me full of rage, and it still does. Because we'd been trying for a year before COVID. She wasn't conceived because we were home alone and bored during COVID. She was mentally conceived long before then. It just took her a longer time to physically appear. And she broke me. And the perfect life that I had imagined I was living was crumbling. I thought I was prepared for the life as mum of 2. I'd made plans on how to make my oldest still feel special and how the household was going to run. But I forgot about one key person, me. I wasn't prepared at all. I wasn't prepared for being constantly needed by 2 children and having to choose which one needed me the most or which one needed me first. I wasn't prepared for feeling like my needs constantly came last, for not feeling that I could ask for help. I actually got to the stage where I started looking at pregnant women and thinking, run. You don't know what you're getting yourself into. Even as part of my mind was thinking, but they're already pregnant, so it's too late. I felt that it was all too hard and that it was much easier when we only had one child. I felt that I was failing. But I wanted this. I wanted 2 children. So I also felt that I couldn't say anything negative about the experience or to ask for help. And this feeling was further exacerbated by the fact that I had felt I had really nailed parenting with 1. So I couldn't show that having 2 had broken me. I built walls around myself, which for a while even my husband couldn't penetrate. I outwardly showed that I was fine, but inwardly I wasn't. I felt there was something wrong with me, that I shouldn't be having these negative thoughts, and so I hid them away. But I still felt the need that I needed to prove that being a mother didn't make me less valuable. I thought that I could change people's thoughts on what being a mother meant. I wouldn't be late. I would say yes to everything. I'd make it look effortless and easy. But despite this, when I went to return to work and asked for a part-time role, I was told that I wasn't able to do my management role part-time. And I felt conflicted. Part of me was happy as I would have less responsibility but the same pay. But another part of me was angry that I wasn't seen as being able to do it, even though there were other part-time managers in the organization. So anger and resentment became my constant companions, but I didn't really realize it. And I tried to convince myself in relation to the work that this was a much better outcome. But there was a big part of me that was furious that others were defining what I could and couldn't do. But I didn't really give myself space to recognize these feelings or to slow down and process them. Part of me felt that if I slowed down, it would all catch up with me and I would shatter. But I shattered anyway. I felt like my life was in pieces, and trying to pick up the shards to put myself back together just cut my hands. So I ignored it and pretended I was fine. And at the same time, I also felt frantic to try and put myself back to how I was before. And I really struggled when I found that the pieces didn't fit anymore. Now, this shattering was very internal, and I'm not really sure what those outside of me saw. But it did take me a lot to be able to take these pieces to my husband and to ask for help. And it took so long because it felt like I had failed, and I didn't want to admit it. But I also couldn't continue on like everything was fine, because it wasn't. And I'm still uncovering pieces of this life that was shattered. But now I can have a look at them and get a deeper understanding on the beliefs that were shattered during this time, where they came from, and what they were trying to protect me from. So it's around this time that I discovered Matrescence. So to me, it felt like safety and coming home. All of these feelings I was having and the frantic need to recreate the old picture of my life wasn't because I was failing. It's because I wasn't aware that motherhood can cause this massive shift. I didn't honor the transition. I just expected life to go on as it always had. I didn't know that I could change my mind on who I was and who I wanted to be, especially as a mother. I didn't know that we could hold so many conflicting emotions over the same topic and at the same time. And that it's okay to both love parts of motherhood and hate them as well. That you can love your children and want space from them. That it's okay to rediscover who you are now and to make time for the things that interest you. I am allowed to be Melissa and all that entails, rather than being limited to only being a mother. I matter. Nowadays, I've learned to ask for help. I know what I need for myself and how to make time to schedule that. I know how to set boundaries, to do the inner work, and to continue to grow and evolve. I really wish that as a society, we would talk more openly about all aspects of motherhood, that we could impart wisdom before pregnancy and birth to prepare mothers for this massive shift that occurs, to stop focusing so much on the birth and the baby and focus on all that time after birth and on the mother, to provide more support for our mums so that they don't feel so alone, so that they can voice their dark thoughts without fear of judgment and without someone trying to fix them. To have mothers' circles with mothers from a range of stages of motherhood, including our grandmothers, to help impart wisdom and to truly hold our mothers. I can see that the change is starting to happen, but we still do have a long way to go. In myself, I'm still finding my way with motherhood and my motherhood support business. I'm really passionate about making and helping people find time to nurture your own passions and hobbies. I really like to use creativity to help us process our emotions and to help us overcome our limiting beliefs, such as perfectionism in my case. I want mothers to know that they are valuable and cherished and worthy of time for themselves to rediscover who they are now. I'm also passionate about supporting mothers in grief. There is no grief that is too small or large. As a society, we do not know how to handle grief, which can lead to those in grief feeling isolated and lonely. I want you to know that you are not alone and you are not broken. Most people just don't know how to hold space for your grief, and they can make you feel like rubbish in trying. But I know how to hold space, and there are many others out there who do know how to hold space. So if this is you feeling a bit lost and lonely, know that there are people out there you just need to keep looking. Something I'm also working on is creating a mother's retreat, a space where mothers can come to be nourished and cared for, to be seen, honoured and held. This is still very much a work in progress, but watch this space. I'm excited to one day be able to offer that. So I'm working towards a world where mothers see their own value and know that they are allowed to have a life and dreams outside of their children. If you'd like to connect, all my details are in the show notes. Thanks so much for listening.
Thanks, as always, for being a part of our global Matrescence community. Please take a moment and make sure you're subscribed to this podcast in your podcast player so you can always be notified of our next episode. And if you would like to work with a coach on your own experience of matrescence, please go to mamarising.net and explore our directory of phenomenal coaches, workshop leaders, space holders and facilitators around the globe. You can also explore our Global Matrescence Foundation and consider donating so a mama in need can access the support of one of our coaches and still ensure that our coaches receive the income and support they need so they can continue to work in this way. And finally, if you would like to be a coach, a facilitator and a matrescence activist in your own community, jump on our waitlist for our next intake of the Mama Rising Facilitator training at mamarising.net. Thank you for being here and being part of this movement. Until next week, bye.